Mastering Quantifying Cybersecurity Risks. The organization's flawed risk assessment methodology is recklessly underestimating its vulnerability to cyber threats. What is the organization's current methodology for quantifying cybersecurity risks, and how successful has its implementation been in terms of accurately predicting and mitigating potential threats to its operational excellence? To achieve operational excellence in cybersecurity risk management, an organization must establish a robust methodology for quantifying cybersecurity risks. This methodology should facilitate the accurate prediction and mitigation of potential threats to the organization's operations. Firstly, the organization should adopt a risk management framework that is tailored to its specific needs and industry. This framework should provide a structured approach to identifying, assessing, and mitigating cybersecurity risks. The framework should also be aligned with relevant industry standards and best practices, such as the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, Cybersecurity Framework. The next step is to identify the organization's critical assets and data that require protection. This includes sensitive customer information, intellectual property, and other confidential data. The organization should also identify the potential threats and vulnerabilities associated with these assets, including internal and external threats, such as malware, phishing, and denial of service (DoS) attacks. To quantify cybersecurity risks, the organization should use a risk assessment methodology, such as the Operationally Critical Threat, Asset, and Vulnerability Evaluation (OSOCTAV) method or the Factor Analysis of Information Risk (FAIR) method. These methodologies provide a structured approach to assessing the likelihood and potential impact of cybersecurity threats. The organization should also establish key risk indicators, KRIs, to measure and monitor cybersecurity risks. KRIs should be specific, measurable, and relevant to the organization's operational excellence goals. Examples of KRIs include the number of security incidents, the mean time to detect, MTTD, and mean time to respond, MTTR, to security incidents, and the percentage of employees who have completed cybersecurity awareness training. To improve the accuracy of cybersecurity risk predictions, the organization should leverage advanced analytics and machine learning techniques. These techniques can help identify patterns and anomalies in network traffic and system logs, enabling the organization to detect and respond to potential threats in real time. The organization should also establish an incident response plan that outlines the procedures for responding to security incidents. The plan should include roles and responsibilities, incident classification and prioritization, and communication protocols. To mitigate potential threats, the organization should implement a range of security controls, including firewalls, intrusion detection and prevention systems, antivirus software, and encryption technologies. The organization should also implement identity and access management, IAM, controls to ensure that only authorized personnel have access to sensitive data and systems. Employee education and awareness are critical components of operational excellence in cybersecurity risk management. The organization should provide regular training and awareness programs to educate employees on cybersecurity best practices and the importance of cybersecurity in achieving operational excellence. Finally, the organization should continually monitor and review its cybersecurity risk management practices to ensure they remain effective and aligned with its operational excellence goals. This includes conducting regular risk assessments, reviewing KRIs, and updating incident response plans to reflect changes in the threat landscape. In conclusion, achieving operational excellence in cybersecurity risk management requires a structured approach that includes a risk management framework, risk assessment methodology, KRIs, advanced analytics, incident response plans, security controls, employee education, and continuous monitoring and review. By implementing these components, an organization can accurately predict and mitigate potential threats to its operational excellence. As I sat in the conference room with the executives of a leading financial institution, I couldn't help but notice the sense of unease that filled the air. They had just suffered a massive cyber breach, and the CEO was determined to get to the bottom of it. The question on everyone's mind was, how did this happen? And how can we prevent it from happening again? The organization's current methodology for quantifying cybersecurity risks was based on a complex set of formulas and algorithms, which, on paper, looked impressive, but in reality, they were nothing more than a checklist of regulatory compliance boxes to tick. The implementation had been lackluster, with little attention paid to the human element of risk assessment. I knew that to truly understand the scope of the problem, I needed to delve deeper. I began by conducting a series of interviews with key stakeholders, from the IT department to the boardroom. I wanted to understand their thought processes, their pain points, and their concerns. One of the first things that struck me was the disconnect between the different departments. The IT team was convinced that the breach was a result of a sophisticated phishing attack, while the executive team believed it was an insider job. It was clear that there was a lack of communication and a siloed approach to risk management. I also noticed that the risk assessment process was heavily focused on technology, with little consideration given to the human factor. The organization had invested heavily in the latest security tools, but they had neglected to train their employees on how to use them effectively. As I dug deeper, I began to see a pattern emerging. The organization had a culture of fear, where employees were reluctant to speak up about potential risks, for fear of being blamed or reprimanded. This created a culture of silence, where risks were swept under the carpet, and potential threats were ignored. I realized that quantifying cybersecurity risks was not just about numbers and formulas, it was about understanding the complexities of human behavior and the dynamics of the organization. It was about creating a culture of trust, where employees felt empowered to speak up and report potential risks. I proposed a new approach, one that would focus on operational excellence and integrate cybersecurity into the fabric of the organization. I recommended the creation of a cross-functional team comprising representatives from IT, HR, and the executive team to work together to identify and mitigate risks. I also suggested the implementation of a training program designed to educate employees on cybersecurity best practices and encourage them to report potential risks. This would be supported by a system of incentives and recognition to encourage employees to take ownership of cybersecurity. The CEO and his team were skeptical at first, but as I presented my findings and recommendations, I could see the skepticism turning to curiosity, and eventually, to conviction. They realized that quantifying cybersecurity risks was not just about compliance, it was about creating a culture of operational excellence, where cybersecurity was embedded in every aspect of the organization. As we rolled out the new approach, I could see the transformation taking place. Employees began to speak up, reporting potential risks, and suggesting innovative solutions. The IT team worked closely with the executive team, and the organization as a whole began to see cybersecurity as a strategic imperative, rather than a compliance checkbox. It wasn't easy, and there were many challenges along the way. But as I looked around the conference room, I knew that we had created something truly special, an organization that was proactive, agile, and committed to operational excellence. As I left the meeting, I couldn't help but think about the lessons I had learned. Quantifying cybersecurity risks is not just about numbers and formulas, it's about people, culture, and operational excellence. It's about creating an environment where employees feel empowered to speak up, and where cybersecurity is embedded in every aspect of the organization.